It moves through the water like a shadow. No sound, no warning, just a shape, massive, grey and ancient, closing in at 30 kilometers per hour. The great white shark has been hunting in these oceans for millions of years. Long before humans walked the earth, long before anything we would recognize as life on land. And yet, for all we know about this animal, one question has haunted researchers for decades. How does it actually hunt? What goes on inside that final lethal approach, the moments before the strike, that makes the great white one of the most effective ambush predators on the planet? By the end of this video, you will know exactly what happens. Step by step, second by second, the great white shark has existed in some form for roughly 16 million years. Think about that. When the ancestors of this animal first began patrolling shallow seas, our own ancestors were small primates, barely able to walk upright. And in all that time, the basic design has barely changed. Because it did not need to. The great white is not a simple creature. It is a finely calibrated hunting system. Every part of its body, its skin, its eyes, its jaw, its movement, exists for a single purpose: finding prey and ending the chase as fast as possible. Adult great whites can reach over 6 meters in length and weigh more than 2,000 kilograms. Their jaws contain rows of serrated teeth that replace themselves continuously throughout their lives. When one tooth breaks or falls out, another moves forward to take its place. This is not an accident of nature. This is precision engineering, 400 million years in the making. Not all great whites hunt the same way. Where they hunt matters enormously. Off the coast of South Africa, near a place called Seal Island in False Bay, researchers have documented some of the most dramatic hunting behavior ever recorded in the wild. Cape Fur seals gather here by the tens of thousands. And great whites have learned something extraordinary about this location. The water around the island drops away into deep, dark channels. In the early morning, when light is low, a seal swimming at the surface appears as a dark silhouette against the lighter sky above. From below, from the darkness, the shark can see everything. The seal sees nothing. This is called the ambush zone, and great whites use it deliberately. What happens in those final seconds is almost impossible to process in real time. The shark launches itself from depths of around 20 to 30 meters, accelerating straight upward at speeds researchers estimate can exceed 40 kilometers per hour at the moment of impact. The entire attack, from the moment the shark begins its vertical charge to the moment it breaks the surface, takes less than 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That is faster than a human can consciously react to anything. The strike itself is not random. Studies of attack patterns at Seal Island show that great whites approach from directly below, targeting the rear of the prey animal, specifically to avoid the claws and the most reactive escape direction. This is not instinct alone. This is learned behavior. Individual sharks at this location have been observed refining their approach patterns over years. To understand how the great white pulls off this kind of attack, you need to understand what it can detect and how far away. Great whites can detect electrical fields generated by the muscle contractions of other animals. Tiny organs clustered around their snout, called the ampullae of Lorenzini, are so sensitive they can detect electrical signals smaller than 1/1000th of a volt. In practical terms, this means a great white can locate a beating heart buried under sand. They also detect low-frequency vibrations through their lateral line, a sensory organ running the full length of their body. An injured fish 50 meters away, thrashing irregularly, produces exactly the kind of vibration that draws a shark in. And then there is smell. Great whites can detect blood in water at concentrations of 1 part per million. Some estimates put their olfactory range at over a kilometer, depending on current direction. By the time a great white is within striking range, it has already built a detailed picture of its prey using at least 3 separate sensory systems, none of which require vision. The eyes, when they finally do engage, are largely for confirmation. Here is something that stops most people cold when they first hear it. In the final moment of a strike, the great white rolls its eyes backward into its skull. The eyes go completely white. This is not a malfunction, It is protection. The eye is the most vulnerable part of the shark during an attack. Prey animals thrash, scratch, and fight back. Rolling the eye back shields it from damage at the exact moment of maximum risk. But it also means the shark is effectively blind during the strike itself. What guides it in those final milliseconds? Researchers believe it switches entirely to the ampullae of Lorenzini, locking onto the electromagnetic signature of its prey at point-blank range with extraordinary precision. It has hunted perfectly in complete darkness, across millions of years, blind at the critical moment and still rarely missing. For most of human history, the great white shark was understood almost entirely through fear. It was not until the 1970s and 1980s that systematic research began to reveal the true picture. And what researchers found challenged almost everything people assumed. Great whites are not indiscriminate killers. They are selective, highly calorie-conscious, in fact. An adult great white needs enormous energy to sustain its size, and it cannot afford to waste that energy on prey that fights back unpredictably. This is why the majority of shark attacks on humans do not result in predation. Researchers believe many are investigative bites. A shark using its mouth, the way we might use our hands to sample and identify an unfamiliar object. A human on a surfboard, seen from below, does resemble a seal in silhouette. The difference is what happens after initial contact. A seal is energy-dense. A human, all limbs and bone and unfamiliar density, often is not what the shark is looking for. That is cold comfort if you are in the water, but it is the reality of what the data shows. So, what makes the great white the most effective ambush predator in the ocean? It is not raw size. It is not just the teeth. It is the combination, the senses stacked on top of each other, the learned behavior refined over years, the ability to accelerate from stillness to lethal force in under 2 seconds, blind at the critical moment and still precise enough to succeed. It is an animal that has had 16 million years to solve the problem of hunting in the ocean, and it solved it so completely that almost nothing has changed since. That shape moving through the water, that shadow, is not random. It is the result of more evolutionary time than the human mind can truly hold. And somewhere out there, right now, one is rising. If you want to understand more about the animals that rule the natural world, subscribe. New videos every week. Next time, we go inside the strike of the saltwater crocodile, the fastest ambush in freshwater, and the bite force that no land animal can match. You do not want to miss it.